And welcome back again. Yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander of Keeping It Honest. Yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander. We have some late breaking news. I was interested by this because if you know me, I try to get the left side, try to get the right side, I try to do all sides. A lot of you have watched my shorts. I appreciate you guys watching the shorts. A lot of you guys have watched the long form shows, and some are watching the live. So now we're trying to do more live late breaking news because I always say if you don't know what's out there, then when news hits, you're going to tend to forget it. So, my background many years of mainstream media, and from there, I decided to get into streaming. And it's a different type of media. My background as a journalist, I ran for political office, ran for Congress, so I get to see all facets of it. Name of the show is called Keeping It Honest for those of you who are looking at this for the first time. Don't forget to hit the like and share button and subscribe. And what we do, we put things in a Parker twist where you think about what we done on the show. You may not like everything that we do on the show, but at the end of the day, hopefully we've entertained you and you've gained some knowledge. So the reason that we're doing this late breaking news, I'm looking on my phone right now. This is interesting. This Hamas leader, his name is Ismail Haniyeh. I think I got that correct. He was killed in an attack at his house. Him and his bodyguard were killed. So he was head of the political bureau of the resistance Palestine movement Hamas. Very big news, okay? So he was killed in an attack at his home. So what we're going to do, we're going to go on one of the sites that are talking about this guy. But if you read a little bit about the comments of the show, what's it going to be about? How is this going to affect not just the United States, but America? How is it going to affect America? Give me some comments if you're interested. But let's sit back and learn together as far as what this guy's assassination attempt will mean. Think about this too. A couple weeks back, there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Even though he wasn't president, he was running for president. And let's say he had a potential to win and he got assassinated. How would that have affected the United States and world relations? So, with Tehran and everything that's going on with Hamas, this is really a big deal. It may not affect you at your house and your home, but if it's not affecting you, it's affecting somebody. And that's the thing. So, we're going to look at this. Breaking news: Hamas leader killed. This is from Iran media, and it's also off of CNN. And he was killed at his home with his bodyguard. And what you're going to see is live news as they're talking about it. And so that's interesting. He was going there to see an inauguration of another president, and he got killed at his home with his bodyguard. So just think about this, the repercussions. What if this would have been Donald Trump? Okay, he was doing a rally. What if whoever's our president went over to another country and didn't make it back because they were killed there? How do you think we would feel? How do you think Iran feels? So that's interesting. And so this is being broadcast also on CNN News 18. So I'm looking on my phone because you guys see me looking on my phone. But what I am doing is I am looking at some of the texts that I can read. So I'm going to go through some of these, what some people say, and I'm going to read them to you guys as soon as I can get the ones that make sense. One person says the biggest controversy. Okay, that's interesting. Um, Another person says Palestine supporter Hamas. So you know this is a very political thing. Even with the guy dying, people are going to say their pros and cons. Some are going to be happy and some are going to be sad. But remember, this guy was just at a meeting yesterday and then he's killed today. So it says from this person, when one is zealous about one's religion, one becomes a religious extremist. When one has become a religious extremist, one's judgment is clouded with irrationality and proceeds to hate and kill. And that's interesting. How many of people out there believe that that part is true? You're watching. Yours truly, speaking of true, Anthony Parker, Alexandra keeping it honest. We don't just keep it simple. We don't just keep it real. We keep it honest. And we're doing a live show late at night, late breaking news. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, he was assassinated. And he had plenty of power. So you take away that power, who's going to take his place? How is the world going to be affected by this guy not being here anymore? And how's the world going to be affected with whoever takes his place? And then we're also in the middle of an election. So, which countries want Donald Trump to win? Which countries want Kamala to win? That's going to be interesting. Do the weaker countries want, well, they probably wanted Joe Biden, but do the weaker countries want one of the two leaders, Trump or Harris, that they know that they can pull the wool over? When people say pray about politicians, that's what you're supposed to do. Pray about this world. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, this could have been Donald Trump. Missed it by that much. As the news breaks, we're going to continue to learn about this guy. Some people say, well, why are you doing this show? Well, because what? I can do it. And we like doing things that people really don't talk about. It may be uncomfortable, but when it's uncomfortable, come to my show, let's discuss it, and let's try to make it comfortable. Or maybe not at the end of it. It may not be comfortable, but at least we will have discussed it. So we are watching this breaking news about this Hamas leader who was assassinated yesterday. If you have any questions or comments, you can email yours truly. It's parkerman2011 at gmail.com. Parkerman2011 at gmail.com. You can also leave me a voice message, telephone number. You leave a voice message or text. It's 216 702 3718. 216 702 3718. And I'm reading this live Texas that they're sending on this page. So here it goes. I'm going to read this. See, you Iran fought for the Palestine people. It might think it's going too quick. Sorry about that. I'll have to go to something else. Nancy says Jesus is coming. Okay. Um, Joan of Arc, what did Muhammad do? Okay. And these are going really fast. So let's go back to this and see what they're talking about because, again, this could have been one of our former presidents of the United States, Donald Trump. And thank goodness, it wasn't. So this guy's been around a long time. And you just think about that. In other countries, people's purposes are just to go after the politicians. So I say before, when you're a politician, one, don't take it for granted because you do have crazy people out there all across the world. So when they say, this hate speech, words do have meaning. As we talked about Donald Trump, maybe people believe it was conspiracy, but a 20 something year old kid who supposedly had no other ties hated Donald Trump that much that he wanted to kill him, or even a supposed insurrection. Words have meaning. And when the politicians today they go at each other, they call each other names, just talk about the politics. Because when a crazy person is out there, they want to change the world and believe they're doing it for their leader, whoever that person is who's talking to them. So again, think about Donald Trump, but think about this guy. Think about other countries. Their job is to go after politicians and people in media. We are so blessed that we're able to have the freedom of speech and also as a journalist or media and to say what we want. But we should also make sure that it's backed up by facts. So that's interesting too. Because of the Hamas attacks, a lot of people don't care, but a lot of people do. Some people have died and had their lives threatened for their political beliefs, whether you're pro or anti. And that's going to be interesting now because of the person that takes his place. Are they going to be more stronger than this guy? This guy's been around, they said, since the 1980s. So he's had decades of political influence. Somebody coming up behind him? Are they like his second man, like vice president? Are their views going to be totally different? And how is their views and their leadership going to affect Iran and Tehran and also the United States and across the world? So they're doing a recap of that and everything. And so while they're doing that, because this is live, I am going to go to CNN and see what I can see as far as late breaking news. You are watching Keeping It Honest with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander, as we talk about, wow, this assassination of this guy. And so it's interesting. I'm trying to see if I can read any of this. And if not, we're going to go to another page that tells a little backstory about this guy. So, if you have any questions or comments, you can email yours to parkerman2011 at gmail.com, parkerman2011 at gmail.com. We're talking about this assassination. And no assassination is good because you're getting rid of people. We can talk about some of the people that have been assassinated over the years. And here's another one that we could add on. Some people think this was a justified assassination. Um, as there's going to be more on this story, we'll let you know. So we're trying to get on YouTube now to see what. Here we go. We talk about what's live, what's going on. And so what we're doing is we're trying to show you the live stuff. And let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go. This should be the live. No, that's not it. All right, let's do this again because I want to show you this. This is what's taking place while we are at home, sleeping, relaxing. We get to have peace, no pun intended, in our country while other people are dying for what they believe in and fighting for what they believe in. So we ought to just thank God and whoever you believe in. So this is Israel Attack Live, and this is some of the stuff that's happening in Beirut. We talk about our world and what affects us. Does this affect us that's going on? Well, you know what? It's going to be more security and more government security. And that's the sad thing. Looking on my phone, I want to try to pull up the significance of this guy getting killed, what it means to a lot of people. But that's what's happening right now. Right. Thank goodness, thank God we don't have that in our country, in America. I just want to show you that. So you're watching, keeping it honest with yours truly, Anthony Parker Alexander, as we talk about the killing. And let's see if we can pull this up of this leader and how it's going to affect our world. If people say it does affect our world, I mean, I think it will. Let me know. Text me 216-702-3718. 216-702-3718. And being live, I tell you, anything could happen while you're live. So we're trying to get on this YouTube or this video channel to see what else we can find out about this war. Well, we know about the Hamas war, but I want to see more about the story of this guy getting assassinated. And I'm about to pull it up. In 1 second. Here we go. It's coming up. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Here we go.
The IDF just had a retaliatory strike where you are. What are you hearing, Ben?
Well, this news is just spreading around, and it's fairly early in the morning here in Beirut, so haven't seen specific reaction yet, but this certainly isn't going to help calm things in the region. I'm sure that many people are probably going to come to the conclusion that Israel has decided that there's no hope in negotiations to release the hostages in Gaza, and so it's going after the negotiators.
So that's interesting. Instead of trying to get the hostages released, they're like, you know what? We've got no chance of doing that. We're going to go after the negotiators. Wow.
Ismail Haniyeh, who was the political leader of Hamas, not the military leader of Hamas, was heavily engaged in these negotiations, obviously not directly with the Americans or the Israelis, but through the Qataris and the Egyptians and others. He was the man who was sort of stating Hamas's position.
Another interesting thing is, well, he wasn't part of the negotiating team for the American hostages, which in some ways is a good thing. But he was a guy, I guess, that was negotiating for hostages, period.
So it seems that Israel has simply given up on those negotiations and is going ahead and eliminating the leaders of Hamas when the opportunity arises. And I think as other people who you've been speaking to this morning or this evening where you are, have made it clear that this really underscores that Israel has the ability and the intelligence to target its enemies wherever they might be. For instance, yesterday evening at just before 8 p.m. local time here in Beirut, the Israelis had the intelligence to locate and kill Fuad Shukr, who's one of the senior military commanders of Hezbollah, despite the fact that Hezbollah tries to maintain fairly tight security. And for the Israelis to be able to strike the political head of Hamas in the Iranian capital. And of course, we heard Barak Ravid saying earlier that it was as a result of a missile fired through a window. Obviously, we're going to have to get that confirmed. But that would indicate a level of intelligence that perhaps we haven't seen yet before. And as I said, it just sends a message that Israel has given up on the negotiations for a ceasefire in Gaza, for the peaceful release of the hostages who are still alive in Gaza, and is simply going forward with assassinating the people it was indirectly negotiating with.
And that's very interesting. So I'm going through the live chats, and I'm going to read some of them. Universities across the United States will be flying the Palestine flag in half-mast. Wow. Iran responsible for him. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard provided Israel with the time and exact location of Ismail Haniyeh. So you wonder, was there anybody, an inside job, where somebody said, you know what, let's get rid of this guy? People talk about conspiracies. How was this missile, supposedly a missile, able to go through the guy's house? Palestinians who are mostly Hamas supporters will be upset. October 7th was a major escalation. How this virtually paralyzing shipping in Red Sea was a major escalation. Okay. Why would a Hamas need to go to Iran to discuss freeing the hostages or not? Can Hamas just make up their own minds without Iran telling them what to do? And this is a cold one. You reap what you sow. Live chats. Unfortunately, there's going to be some people that do feel that way too. I'm just keeping it honest. What do you think about this so far? How will this affect the United States? Will this affect the United States? He wasn't the negotiator for the hostages in America, but he was a negotiator. And pretty much people said, you know what? We're not getting anything out of these, we're not getting these hostages back. So let's just go after the negotiators. So what do you do when you kill a negotiator? The second negotiator taking his place, is he going to be more scared and want to give up, give things to whoever he's talking to or negotiate because he's going to fear for his death? How will this guy's death change the world? And I'm just keeping it honest, which is what you're watching.
I want to bring in CNN military analyst Colonel Cedric Layton on this. Colonel, this is very significant news this evening. This region has been under major stress, obviously, since at least October 7th. What will this do to the political and military dynamic, given some of the statements that this might be a showing of a giving up on peaceful negotiations?
Let's get ready for his answer, because if you're negotiating, hopefully America won't do this too. Well, we can't get our hostages. We can't get our hostages back. So let's just kill the negotiator. How many people are going to be thinking this now if that is the political statement that whoever assassinated this guy is making?
Yeah, Laura, that could very well be the case, at least in the near term, because when you go ahead and, as Ben was talking about just now, eliminating the lead negotiator for Hamas in these negotiations that they've been conducting in Qatar and in Egypt, as well as in Rome, that really puts a stop to any of those diplomatic efforts. And I agree with Ben that this could potentially be a way to stop every single aspect of these negotiations in the at least in the short term, because what that does is it puts Hamas in a specific box right here. And now that they're more or less leaderless on the political side, at least, it also puts a lot of pressure on the military wing of Hamas. So what we could see is some kind of effort to consolidate power within Hamas. That is going to, of course, be a very difficult thing for them to do, because they're really forced now under a lot of stress to deal with the Israelis, both in a military and a political way, with decimated leadership. And, in terms of the future, Laura, what we could see here is the potential for greater attacks on Israel, some of them coming from Iran, from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, because now Iranian sovereignty has been violated with the killing of Haniyeh in Tehran. So this could really result in a major escalation of this conflict, not only between Hamas and Israel, but also between Iran and Israel.
And then that's going to be very important, because, again, is there a point in time where the United States is going to have to get involved? And with the presidential election coming up and the world kind of mixed up, who's president now? How's this going to affect us? Kamala is literally acting like she's the president when really it's Joe Biden. But the world, remember, the world is watching how we react to anything and everything. And make no mistake, they're going to look at how if Vice President Kamala says statements first, or if it's Joe Biden that says statements first, or even Donald Trump, whoever's going to come out big and bad, or even weak, the world is going to be looking at us.
Indeed, this happened in Iran, in the capital city, while he was attending the inauguration of the new president in Iran. What kind of retaliation, if any, do you expect from Iran, given, as some are describing this, a slap in the face, knowing that people like Kanye had oftentimes been out and about in public and had a certain level of comfort in safe travels in places like Iran?
And
Tehran. So far, the Israeli military is not saying that it's.
And doesn't that remind you a little bit of Donald Trump?
What kind of retaliation, if any, do you expect from Iran, given, as some are describing this, a slap in the face, knowing that people like Kanye had oftentimes been out and about in public and had a certain level of comfort in safe travels in places like Iran?
So think about that. Donald Trump, I played it again, so you listen to that, in his rallies. Secret Service said, please don't do any more outdoor rallies. Okay, please just stay contained. And he's like, well, I'm not gonna stay contained. I want to be out, even though I was shot at. But he was blessed because he wasn't killed. This guy was loved by some people, and now he's dead. Did he put himself out there? Well, if a missile came to his house, then he didn't. Okay. What will Trump and them? What will the Secret Service in America? What will we learn from this assassination? Will they toughen it up more? Because they have said they dropped the ball. I've aired some shows saying that they dropped the ball. And did anybody drop the ball for this guy? My thing is, well, probably yeah, because he's dead.
Yeah, that's going to be, I think, a major effort by the Iranians that they will need to use a show of force. And what that means is it could be a missile attack like we saw a few months ago against Israel. That could very well they could very well try to tax the air defense systems that the Israelis have. On the one hand, on the other hand, what they could do is they could also mount some kind of terrorist attacks against Israeli installations, not only around the region, around the Middle East, but potentially globally. So those are the kinds of things that could happen. And the third dimension that they could use from Iran would be cyber attacks against Israel and any country that they feel is associated with Israel. And that, of course, would mean the United States.
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention, get more followers, and drive more sales. They're engaging to watch, super shareable, convert better, and make you feel like you're watching a Pixar movie, which is why they're used by massive brands like Google, Amazon, and Facebook. The problem is they can cost up to $25,000 for just one video, or require a fancy animation degree or complicated software to create one yourself. But what if there was?
So, wow, as that closed, and he talked about the United States, and let's see if we can go back and hear this again. I just want this little piece, because we need to take this all in.
Globally. So those are the kinds of things that could happen. And the third dimension that they could use from Iran would be cyber attacks against Israel and any country that they feel is associated with Israel. And that, of course, would mean the United States.
So,
breaking news here on CNN, a major development in.
Are we going to be looking at this attack? Because it seems like everybody else is. So if we're associated with Israel, is somebody going to start coming after us? Democratic convention's coming up. A lot of politicians there. The inaugural's coming up. A lot of politicians there. The White House. Is this putting the United States more in alert too? Because depending who our friends are and how we feel about the Hamas war and who we're supporting, are people going to be upset with us? Because some already are, some aren't, some taking sides, some aren't taking sides. But are the ones that are really upset, are they the ones that could be potentially a threat to us? Wow. So you're watching, keeping it honest. Yours truly, Anthony Parker, the live late night version. We're going to do this every now and then. Whenever there's late breaking news, and I feel we can do this. I want to read a couple more chats. One was, why is this an escalation? Always an escalation when Israel reacts. Why? Okay, trying to see another good one. Do Hamas and Iran leaders know that the October 7 actions have consequences? Wow. Oh, yeah. Now, here's one I'm going to end this part with. I remember Netanyahu's promise. He said there is no place in the world that Israel cannot reach. Wow. That's scary just saying that. So, is there going to be a potential World War III? Is America going to be involved in that war? Trump says yes. Biden and them say no. But let's pray for this world. Let's pray for our country. Let's pray for our leaders. Wow. So we have just talked about the assassination and gave you late breaking news. And the leader, he was a top leader, he was assassinated at his home with his bodyguard. And he was a negotiator. So this is a crazy world. And all we have to pray for is sanity for this world and for each other. You have any questions or comments? You can email yours truly. It's parkerman2011 at gmail.com. Parkerman2011 at gmail.com. You can text me. Telephone number is 216 702 3718. 216 702 3718. Hit the like, share, and subscribe button. I thank you guys for watching this. Make sure you hit the notification too, so you know when I'm coming on, because it could be anytime. We do shorts, 5-second shorts, 10-second shorts, 15-second shorts, minute shorts. We do medium shows, 5-10 minutes. We do long shows, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, where we talk about anything and everything in some ways that people don't talk about. So go to our Patreon page and help support us. Because if you've seen the shows, you know we do a lot. And what is Patreon, you ask? Well, it's kind of like PBS. It's like a fundraiser. So you go to my Patreon page, and links on the on our site, on our page, and on there there's 3 tiers as far as what you can contribute for our show. And we have different perks too when you contribute and join part of our perks. So it just takes it up to another level. We appreciate the support. We appreciate the subscribers. Even if you don't subscribe, subscribe. And also like and tell your friends. As we grow, you grow. We're all a big family. And as a family, you're growing, so you're trying to see how you're doing the show. So this is our live show. And we did a little things that were different. And if you're doing this on the rewatch, this is what happened on the late breaking news that we try to give you. So you never know what we're going to talk about. We do political, we do entertainment, we do things to make you think. And at the end of the day, like I said, you may not like everything, but hopefully you'll respect what we do. So in closing, let's just pray for the world. That's all we need to do is pray for the world. Keep your head up. Never look down. Always believe in yourself, and therein will lie your answer. We don't just keep it real. We don't just keep it honest. We keep it simple. And God bless. God bless you all. God bless America. And God bless the world.